Breast Cancer Awareness every month of the year. As we reach the end of the 2025 Pinking Up Warrandyte month-long campaign and the sea of pink subsides in Warrandyte, CARLY LUNT shares her breast cancer story. Like many other awareness campaigns that populate the calendar, while a concentrated campaign of awareness is good, those who are directly impacted often live with these diseases and conditions on a daily basis. The statistics state that 1 in 7 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime.
I am one of those women, being diagnosed last year at the ripe old age of 41. Since then, I have made it my personal mission to raise awareness about the disease by sharing my story, aiming to encourage regular mammograms for all my fellow ladies, especially the younger cohort who, like my pre-cancer self, often think they're invincible and that this is a disease only for the older generations. The story of how my life went tits up is as follows. I have 3 young kids, currently age 5, 6 and 7, and life is and was very busy. I had had an intermittently achy right breast, which I saw the GP for a few years ago. They couldn't feel or see any abnormalities, so they offered monitoring and a recheck if there was no improvement within 6 months, versus proceeding to imaging. I elected to monitor, and somehow 18 months slipped by before I revisited the ongoing problem at the GP's. Again, nothing abnormal was detected on physical exam, but this time I decided to be thorough and proceed with imaging. Being young, with dense breast tissue, I had a mammogram and an ultrasound to be thorough. I was so sure I had nothing wrong with me that even when the sonographer went out to chat to the doctor 3 times during the ultrasound, I didn't think anything of it. It was only later that afternoon, when I had 2 missed calls from the doctor, that I first experienced that sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. It turns out that my right breast was fine, but my left asymptomatic breast had a 1 centimetre mass that neither I nor my breast surgeon could feel, even when we knew it was there. This was on a Tuesday, and by Friday I was in for a biopsy that confirmed my worst fears, that I had a relatively aggressive breast cancer and needed surgery ASAP. I had surgery to remove the lump with wide margins, as well as the draining lymph node under my armpit. The bonus of this surgery was that I also got a breast lift, which means that even though I'm missing the bottom half of my left boob, you wouldn't know that if you saw me. What a talented surgeon. My pathology results came back, and it was the first good news I'd received in what felt like a nightmare series of bad news. The cancer was downgraded from a grade 2 to a grade 1, which came with a significantly improved prognosis. My cancer was strongly estrogen responsive, but negative for HER2 markers, which meant that my treatment was quite specifically tailored to block out any estrogen production in my body, and that I could avoid chemotherapy. Estrogen acts as a fuel to the fire of my cancer, and so without estrogen in my system, theoretically there shouldn't be enough fuel to feed the ongoing survival of any residual cancer cells, both locally in my breast or elsewhere if it had spread. Soon after surgery, I commenced a 3-year course of monthly horse-sized needles that I administer into my belly. These injections work to put me into medical menopause. I also started on a 10-year treatment course of daily tablets that block any residual estrogen produced by other parts of my body, mainly fat and muscle cells. Despite being able to avoid chemotherapy, I still needed an intensive 3-week course of radiation to mop up any leftover cancer cells in my breast. This involved a daily dose of radiation shot through the left side of my chest. As they say, a little radiation a day keeps the cancer away. I was fortunate enough that I experienced minimal side effects from this radiation in the short term. They warned of fatigue and local burns to the skin, But I just ended up with one tanned boob and was otherwise fine. I breezed through the surgery, the radiation, the giving of injections, and the taking of tablets. What has taken a little more adjustment has been the aftermath of all these treatments. I have likened having cancer to being in a real-life choose-your-own-adventure book. The treatments are amazingly effective, and the medical care I have received is second to none. However, I am constantly chasing my tail to deal with the flow-on effects of treatment. Being abruptly thrown into menopause came with all the usual joys of hot flushes, poor sleep, and exhaustion. This has since settled, but my joints are now those of a creaky 90-year-old, and I've since been diagnosed with meniscal tears and patella tendonitis impacting my knees, golfer's elbow, and tennis elbow in both elbows. My knuckles have stiffened and increased in size to the point where I can no longer wear my wedding ring, and bending down to pick up the kids' junk off the floor is now no mean feat. Being put into menopause so early means I am at high risk for osteoporosis, and so I have to combat this with a 6-monthly bone-strengthening infusion that makes me feel like I've been hit by a bus for some days afterwards. Radiation kills off residual cancer cells, but it doesn't spare anything in its path, leaving my irradiated ribs at higher risk of fracture and my heart at higher risk of damage and potential heart attack down the track. Having my lymph node removed and test all clear was immensely reassuring, but I've since suffered from lymphatic cording, which is where tight, inflamed lymphatic tissue acts like a violin string down my left arm and side of the chest, causing discomfort and reduced range of motion. Despite all this, I cannot stress enough the many silver linings of receiving a cancer diagnosis 15 months ago. The clarity and perspective I now have on what is important in life has been such a gift. There must always be time made to stop and smell the roses, to enjoy my family and friends, to eat all the delicious foods, and to go on the most adventurous holidays. The support and love pouring out from all angles has been phenomenal and oh so humbling, with many amazing new friends made through this experience. Last year, I hit my Medicare safety net threshold, which meant I barely paid a cent for any medical expenses. I got 5 months leave from work that was covered under my income protection insurance, so I got an all-expenses-paid cancer holiday, where I got to focus solely on my health and my family. I was advised by my oncologist to exercise 5 days a week to minimize the risk of recurrence. Staying a healthy weight reduces the risk of breast cancer, as fat cells produce estrogen. And so now I am fitter than I have ever been. October may have been Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I'm sharing my story to point out that every month should herald breast cancer awareness. Whilst not loudly advertised as such, breast screening with free mammograms are available to any woman age 40 and over. I urge any female out there that sits in this age category to take up this amazing service and to get checked regularly. Why wouldn't you, when early detection could save your life?
If you have been recently diagnosed with breast cancer and need more information or support, you can call 13 11 20 and speak with specially trained staff at Cancer Council. For free resources about breast cancer or to find support available in your area, call Breast Cancer Network Australia on 1800 500 258 or visit bcna.org.au. This article was read by Rebecca Rose,
Hazel Rice.